Why is empathy so hard? Well, empathy is really important. Empathy strengthens your relationship. It helps intimacy thrive. So if you're struggling with empathy, then it's a good thing that you're watching this, because I'm going to help you understand why you're struggling and how to overcome that. Empathy is critical to create trust, build intimacy, and actually have a loving relationship. But it can be so hard sometimes. I'm going to show you why it may be difficult for you to empathize and what you can do about it. When I work with couples, I hear things like, I just don't feel understood, or they're so emotionally disconnected, or they just don't care about me at all. When I hear these things, what's happening is usually there's a lack of empathy in the relationship from one partner or another or both. The reason why there's a lack of empathy, it means there's a lack of vulnerability between the two of them. There's a lack of connection. Empathy is what creates connection in a relationship. Sometimes a partner will say, when I get emotional, it feels like they're abandoning me. They're running the other way. They don't want to be there with me. They don't want to hold space. They just can't be there. Or sometimes when I get emotional or I get upset, they punish me. They blame me for my emotions, and they make me feel crazy when I feel emotional. All of these things are signs that the partner can't empathize, cannot connect. And as I talk about those things, you can see how it creates fractures in the relationship. It destroys the foundation of trust, and it actually makes it so that people can't be that close together in a relationship because there's a lack of empathy. Empathy is feeling emotions with somebody. It's not feeling for somebody. It's not judging somebody. It's not just shutting up and letting them cry, but it's actually trying to understand them, to feel with them. Who are they? Why are they feeling what they're feeling? What is it like for them to feel the things that they're feeling? Empathy, in short, is just caring. It's caring on an emotional level and connecting to that person. You're holding space for them. When you empathize with somebody, that somebody usually feels really understood, really loved, and really cared for. Empathy requires vulnerability. If my partner is being emotional, it's going to require me to be open and connected to her in order to be able to connect. That takes vulnerability. Now, if it takes vulnerability to be empathetic, what that means is that somebody with a lot of shame is fear of abandonment or fear that you're not good enough, they're not going to want to be vulnerable in the relationship. They're going to be shame screening. What I mean by that is they're going to be spinning every which way, trying not to be connected to somebody. Shame undermines empathy. It makes it impossible. So if you're not solid yourself, if you don't know who you are and you're not confident yourself, you're going to have a hard time showing up in vulnerability and empathy with your partner. Let's talk about ways that you avoid vulnerability, or common ways that I see that people don't want to be empathetic in a relationship and what they do when they don't want to be empathetic. One of the first things that I see is a hardened exterior. What that is somebody who just can't be emotional. And when their partner gets emotional, they shut them down. They shut them down on an energetic level. They just say, I can't do it. I'm not interested in that. Or they send messages to their partner that being emotional means being weak. And they're going to act tough. They're going to act strong. They're not going to go there on an emotional level. That shows a lack of vulnerability, and it definitely is not empathy. Another way that people avoid being empathetic is by using logic and reason. They try to give good answers to things. Now, you'd think that would be helpful, right? But when somebody's in an emotional state of mind, they don't want your logic and reason. They don't want the answers. They're in an emotional state of mind. They want your connection. They're processing through their emotions. And as their partner, they want you to sit with them and help them process those emotions. So logic and reason actually invalidates what they're feeling on an emotional level. Going along with logic and reason is fix-it mode. When somebody's feeling pain or discomfort, if you come in and you try to fix it, that is not loving them. Now, you might be thinking about it thinking, well, how is that not loving them? Aren't I helping them? But fix-it mode is not about them. It's about you. You're uncomfortable because they're uncomfortable, and so you're wanting to fix it because you're uncomfortable. Rather than do that, sit in it with them. Be there with them. Just allow them to feel what they're feeling. Sometimes the best thing for sadness is to have somebody be sad with you. Or the best thing for anger is to have somebody be angry with you. That can just allow you to feel what you're feeling, and then you start to overcome it. You start to process through it. I'm going to generalize some, but I think we all know it's true. Women are designed to be more emotional. Men are designed to be more logical and more reasonable. Now, being more emotional isn't a bad thing, and being more logical isn't a bad thing. But when women get emotional, sometimes men have a hard time with the logic and the reason and the fix-it mode. And then the women don't feel loved. They don't feel connected to and understood. It's really, really good for a relationship when a man can learn how to hold space for her, how to connect to her heart, how to allow her to have those emotions so that she can process through them. Another common thing to avoid empathy is to just shut down, just to not go there. I can't handle it, so I'm gonna go watch TV. I'm gonna go in the other room. I'm shutting down. No, thank you. I don't have a desire to connect to you. Think of what message that sends to your partner. I can't show up for you in your pain. It's too uncomfortable for me. Just because you empathize with somebody or hold space for them, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that they're saying. There's a difference between understanding somebody and trying to get them to see things the way you see them. Empathy is about understanding. Empathy is about holding that space for them to process who they are and how they feel. It's not an argument, and it's not about you trying to get them to see what you see. I've been talking about what you do to avoid vulnerability, but there's a layer deeper. Why do you avoid vulnerability? Why do you go into these defense mechanisms like shutting down or logic and reason? I'm going to share with you why you do that and help you understand that better. But before I do, remember to subscribe to my channel. I talk about shame, trauma, and empathy all the time, so it will help you to look within and overcome your inability to empathize. Again, let's talk about why is it so hard to be empathetic. At the root of all of it is fear. You're worried that you're not good enough, that you're not okay, that you're not lovable. So why would I go be vulnerable with somebody who's hurting if that's how I'm feeling about myself? So it's important for you to work on your own stuff and not be caught up in that fear so that you can be strong enough to empathize in your relationship. If shutting down, defensiveness, logic and reason are all coming up for you, then ask yourself this question. What are you defending against? Why are you defensive? Because that's what those things are. They're defense mechanisms against vulnerability. What are you so afraid of that somebody might see so that you can't get close to a partner? Ask yourself that question. I'm going to give you a pointer. Usually at the root, what that fear is, it's a fear of rejection or abandonment. We all, deep down, do not want to get abandoned. It's a natural instinct as a human being to be connected. So in order not to get abandoned, we get defensive, which actually creates abandonment and rejection and a lack of connection. So look at it. Why do you have that fear? Where is that coming from? Someone with a lot of shame, meaning they don't believe they're good enough, they think they're flawed and unworthy of love. Somebody with those type of feelings will lack boundaries. So what I mean by that is they lack being authentic in a relationship and holding a line with people. They lack being boundaried on an emotional level. If you lack boundaries, then you're not going to want people to get close to you because you're going to feel like people can control you and take advantage of you. So working on your shame is important, and then working on who you are and stepping up as a boundaried person is important so that you can have empathy in your relationship. When a person is solid with themselves, they know who they are. I believe that we're hardwired for connection. We naturally create connection. We naturally empathize. So it's important that you really love yourself, that you're solid with yourself. Here's an example. On my birthday, I got home. It was my 40th birthday. It was an exciting day, and my wife was so upset. And I didn't know why. I was at work that day. I got home and she was so upset. Now, I had good reason to be angry at her. It was my birthday. Why should she be upset? I shouldn't be able to take care of her on my birthday. Think of the entitlement there. It's not okay that she's feeling what she's feeling. That's not true. So instead of going there, I actually sat with her and I allowed her to talk about what she was feeling. She was overwhelmed with the kids. It was a long day. She felt like she didn't get me a good enough birthday present, so she was feeling guilty. There was a lot going on inside of her. And at that end of the conversation with her, we gave each other a hug and she felt loved. And I felt love toward her. There was connection there. When I didn't make it about me, and I didn't make it about whether or not she loved me enough, I was able to show up for her and connect to her in that moment. Let's talk about what's underneath an inability to empathize, and that is probably your trauma. Your trauma feeds fears and it feeds shame. So go check out my other video, click on it right here, How to Overcome Childhood Trauma.